All right, y'all. Welcome to the seventh episode of Play with Your Dick, Not Me. I've been sitting here testing out these little microphones that I've seen advertised on TikTok. I didn't get this one on TikTok. I tried to order some cute pink ones, but I don't know. TikTok canceled the order and refunded me. So I found these ones on Amazon. I've been trying to play around with them. I really cannot tell if they're working or not, but I noticed with just using the video recording app on my phone, there'd be like a little bit, like a tiny, tiny bit of an echo. So I thought I'd try to get these. I bought another mic that would connect to my computer. And the last time I played around with it was Wednesday. Today is Sunday, the June 29th. I'm pre-recording for Monday's episode. But yeah, it wouldn't, my computer couldn't locate it for some reason. And it even said in the directions that it probably wouldn't, and you just kind of got to give it a minute. So I have not checked. So I don't know. I'm not tech savvy. I hate reading directions. I want to just open things and they just automatically do what I want them to do. Or I will tell Tiger to figure it out. I don't have the patience. I'm not like an analytical read directions type person. It gets on my damn nerves. Like even just sitting here trying to read this little pamphlet about these little mics, I'm like, ugh. Like I hate, it's weird because like I love to read books, but I hate reading directions. I hate reading directions. And it's not how I learn. I'm a learn by doing type person. I don't learn by reading a whole bunch of directions on a piece of paper or on a screen. It drives me nuts. I have to see you do it and then I try and do it myself. Like I hate reading directions. But anyways, welcome to another episode. I was supposed to have my first guest on this episode, my manifested sister, Kira. I feel like I manifested her. I'll save that story for when she's actually able to come on. But it's been a busy weekend for her. One of her sweet girls, it was her birthday. So, she's busy this weekend. So it's fine. We will reschedule for another weekend or another day. So no worries. One thing that I will say that I do love about my circle of friends is, despite the fact that it's all love and understanding between us, um, there's never any what's the word? I guess, I mean, at least not from my end, and I don't really ever feel it coming from anybody else in my circle. But there's no like animosity or annoyance when it comes to plans being canceled. Like, me and all my friends, and I hope everybody that I love and care about in my circle know this about me, that they never have to worry. I don't take shit like that personal. I mean, when I was younger, I would, because I mean, I would get quote unquote flaked out on a lot by friends. And so there was a point when I was younger, I guess, I don't know, teens, early 20s, where I would take that shit to heart, especially if it was someone who did it over and over and over again. Like, I had a friend who literally invited me to come to like the state fair with her when we were younger. And I got all ready and everything. She said we were going. She wanted me to meet her at her apartment to go to the fair. And I lived in Stansbury Park at the time, and she lived in like West Valley. And my parents drove me all the way to her apartment, and she wasn't there. And I found out later that she just ended up going to the fair with some other friends. And it really, really hurt my feelings and really pissed me off, to be perfectly honest. Like, it was years ago. We were super young. Like, I don't even think I had my daughter yet. Like, so I had to have been like 17, 18. Nah, I wouldn't have been 18 because I had moved back to California right when I turned 18. Um, yeah, I really don't think I had my daughter yet because I got pregnant with Araya at 19. So I had to have been 17. Um, mean, I guess it's possible. Maybe my parents were gonna watch her for the day. But yeah, she just so I sat around at her apartment waiting for her. Um, you know what? I might have already had Araya because she didn't have that apartment till later on, and by then, so yeah, I think my parents were gonna watch Araya. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I just remember like she would just kind of do stuff like that sometimes. Um, and sometimes we'd have I'd confront her about it and how it hurt my feelings, and sometimes she would hear me out. Sometimes it kind of turned into an argument and we may have not talked for a while or whatever. That was a zillion years ago. Things are much different. But and I've definitely grown and evolved where stuff like that doesn't bother me. I think at this point in my life, and everybody in my circle, including that particular friend, even though I haven't seen her in a couple years, but I still love her, still care about her. We touch bases and catch up every now and again. But the point that I'm trying to make is, um, everybody in my circle knows that I will always give them all the grace if plans change. I am this way. Pretty much all of my friends are very similar to me in that we're all varying degrees of introverted. And I know I do this, and my friends do this too, where, we may be discussing something fun that we want to do. And at the time, we're like, yeah, I like to call it, at the time, I was feeling extroverted. Like, yeah, I want to do that. That sounds fun. Yeah. And then the day comes, and I'm like, I get up that morning, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to leave my bed. I haven't seen my husband in a few days, and he really wants me home. Or we've been at odds for the past couple days, just snapping and kind of at each other's throats. And it just wouldn't be a good day for me to leave the house because we need to get back right. We need to, tackle whatever this animosity is between us. So it's best that I just stay home so him and I can, make up and be good. And um and so I understand that. I have the understanding with my friends, they have the understanding with me. None of us takes it personally. None of us gets as far as I know, nobody gets in their feelings. They're like, it's fine, because we've all been there. We've all have been there where at the time we discussed something earlier in the week, everybody's down, and then the day of, you might just wake up and have low energy. You don't feel like being around nobody. You need to recharge and be by yourself. Maybe you need to stay in bed and watch a comfort show or sleep or journal or whatever it is. Or you're just flat out not in the mood. You don't feel like being around anybody. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. And I always understand and respect where my friends are coming from, and I hope they know that. And I'm sure they respect where I'm coming from, because I've had friends where I've, up until the day, like, yeah, I'm down to go, and then that morning I'm like, you know what, it actually ain't gonna work. I'm sorry. I think as long as you communicate, as long as you, because I mean, when you just flat out blow your friend off and don't let them know that you can't make it, that's a whole other story. Like, don't do that. Like, that's how feelings get hurt. But if you communicate with your friend, like, hey, I know I made this commitment to go with you to this, not feeling it for such and such reason. I think that if you have good people around you, they understand. You know, or it might just be, a situation where your friend might just need to come over and be like, come on, like, you were so excited, like, come on, like, we're going, and if that's all it is, if it's one of those situations where you just need your friend, your bestie, to come hype you up to leave the house, that might be all it is. But if it's not, I think it's very telling what kind of circle and what kind of people you have around you. If they can go, that's okay. I understand. I'm still gonna go. I'll catch up with you later. You know, and everybody's good. There's been times, there's me and my friends will usually say, and I know this is very different from when you're a teenager, because my daughter and her friends have this issue where her friends will just stop inviting her places if she has said no one too many times. And I've noticed that it's different with me and my friends at our big ages, is that we don't do that. We don't go, oh, well, Mercedes always says no, so we're just going to stop inviting her. Me and my friends, if it has seemed like there's been a habitual uh, pattern of saying no, we don't just write that friend off. Between us, we go, no, I can't make it this time, or no, I'm not feeling it this time, but please keep inviting me. So the door is kept open. So that's what my friends and I will usually say to each other. And again, you got to give people grace. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know if there's a deeper reason why they keep saying no. Don't take it personal. Just keep the door open, let them know that you're there for them and that you will keep inviting them. Eventually, they may say yes. They may have social anxiety. They may be dealing with something personal that they're not discussing with you. But, just have grace and understanding. And so I do love that about my group of friends, that we don't take it personal. I don't take it personal if a friend of mine seems like they're excited about something and then the day of they're like, I'm sorry, I can't make it, or I'm not feeling it. Really, what it comes down to for me, just communicate. Just let me know. If you just leave me hanging and I don't hear from you at all, like, I'm still not going to really get in my feelings about it, but I am going to wonder what happened. So really what it comes down to, just communicate, just let people know. Just let people know. They will understand. If you have the right, like, good people around you, good for you, good to you, they will understand. They will understand, because we're all adults. We have responsibilities. We have kids, we have spouses, we have other obligations, we have mental health, we get sick, or like I said, we just wake up and we're just feeling very low energy, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. It's all about just giving people grace. That's really what it's about. So really my point to all this was that I love that me and my friends have that. So, Kira and I will link up again, and she will, be a guest in the future, and she knows I love her and that I will never take it personal if plans change last minute. I know that, she had other obligations and priorities and she's busy, and, she has a whole family. So, but she knows that no matter what, I love her and I will always understand. But I am so excited for y'all that don't know her in real life to meet her. She is just amazing. I'm hoping that when she does come on, it'll be just like our car chats, because we have a thing that we do where I will just pull up to where she lives and we will just sit out. She'll come out and we'll sit in my car and we'll catch up. We'll decompress. We'll catch up. We'll vent. We'll cry. I love our car chats. They're my favorite thing. So I kind of just wanted to turn it into a podcast episode. So I am excited for everybody that doesn't know Kira to meet Kira. So, like, I feel like I said, I feel like I truly manifested her. I'll save that story for when she's actually on, but she is just absolutely amazing. Everybody in my life I am just obsessed with. So it took me a long time to curate my life the way I wanted it and have people in my life that are, like I said, good to me, good for me. Um, because you get a lot of life lessons as you start to grow up and learn who's really for you and who isn't. And you have to say a lot of goodbyes to people who you thought you'd never have to say goodbye to. But I feel like I'm at a place in my life that everybody that is in it currently, I'm so extremely thankful for. And it took a lot of work and a lot of life lessons, to curate my life the way that benefited me the most, and uh, just, I, like I said, I have everybody in my life that just fits. I'm always open to meeting new people and making new connections, but I definitely have. Mm, Tiger thinks I'm horrible at judging people. I disagree. I just think that I just have a huge heart and want to let everybody in. But I have discernment. I do. I can tell. I pay attention to the way people move and if I continue to want them to be around me or not. But what I'm trying to say is that everybody that's currently in my life, it's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and should changes ever need to be made in the future, cross that bridge when we come to it. But currently, I have everybody in my life that I want, and I want for nothing. I'm blessed. My life is full. But anyways, if you, I don't know if you could tell, I'm a little low energy today myself. It's been ugh, emotionally draining a couple days. I don't really want to get into it. If you follow me on Facebook, you kind of know that my youngest daughter has epilepsy, and she may have had a breakthrough seizure. We were actually coming from Kira's daughter's birthday party, and we were on our way home from Walmart. So, yeah, so we've just been, watching her, and got a hold of her neurologist and just kind of have a new plan in place. And hopefully she doesn't have any more breakthrough seizures. But I don't really want to spend much time on that. But yeah, I just woke up this morning and I was just very, very low energy. Uh, but I still got up, went to the gym, went and sat outside and was in the swimming pool with my other daughter for a little bit. My oldest, I need to take her driving here in a little bit. So yeah, overall, it's been a good weekend. Um, Scary considering, my baby. But other than that, overall, everybody's good. Um, I was thinking, because I almost didn't even do this episode today because I'm feeling so low energy and because my mind, I just don't feel like I'm fully present today. But I'm the type of person that when I start something, I have to finish it. I'm big about consistency, at least with myself. With myself, I'm big about consistency. I'm committed to recording 2 episodes a week, and I like having it come out on Monday and then one come out on Friday. So I want to remain with that consistency. So, there will be days where I may be low energy. So, but we're human. Um and that's okay. So, but I was thinking about happiness. Are you happy? And I don't care what anybody says, at the end of the day, I think that's what we are all striving to be, is happy. I don't care. People will say rich, successful. At the end of the day, we all truly want to be happy. We all truly want to be happy. I've always believed in, if you aren't happy, go get happy. I've probably mentioned this in past episodes, and that relates to all aspects of your life. If you're not happy in your job, maybe start looking for a new job. Not happy in your relationship, maybe reconsider that. Not happy where you live, look for new places to move. Life is so short to not be happy. And I understand that there are circumstances, situations, tough times in your life that make it harder to be happy. But I think for everybody, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to feel okay and is to feel happy. I've been struggling immensely the past year just to be happy, to feel like myself again. And so the most important thing for me, usually anyway in my everyday life is to be happy, but I've found it immensely harder this past year. And it's hard when you want to be something, and no matter how hard you try, even if you try and fake it every single day, and you're just not getting there. But like I said, we're human. We have our days. Healing is not linear. 2 steps forward, 6 steps back, that kind of thing. But for me personally, if I'm feeling down, low energy, sad, whatever, I mean, and this past year being the exception, because this hasn't worked for this, but normally, under normal circumstances, I would give myself like 3 days to feel at my lowest. And then I'm like, okay, Mercedes, knock it off, shake it off, get out of this. Because I hate feeling down. I really do. I really, really do. But I kind of had this conversation with Tiger the other day. And it's funny because I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends, and we've kind of not always, but we've kind of all similarly felt this way about our husbands. So my female friends, we all kind of have this in common, where when we are feeling low energy, and it's been consistent, it's been a few weeks, few months, just not feeling like ourselves, we cannot stand to stay in that energy. We cannot stand to stay in that low vibrational, not feeling like ourselves state. So I can't stand it. And so I will try to self-analyze, try to identify what is wrong with me and what needs to change. What do I need to do to feel better? I will, if it's bad enough, like for example, after I had my second daughter, Samara, I experienced very bad postpartum depression, to the point where I was locking myself in my room for most of the day and just crying. And I realized I can't go on like this. I can't keep locking myself in my room away from my family. I would hand newborn baby Samara to Tiger and be like, I can't deal. And then just go shut myself in my room. And I realized that I couldn't continue like that. I couldn't continue my family seeing me like that. I couldn't continue being like that. I was suicidal. And so I identified in myself that I needed to make a change. So I, found a doctor and got on, antidepressants, and, anti-depression medication. And she also diagnosed me with postpartum OCD. So I took medication for the next couple years. I, found a therapist, saw her for a little bit. And, for the most part, I started feeling better. I didn't really touch on a lot of what was wrong because I was too scared to talk about it. Postpartum, even though it's more what's the word? Widely known and been studied, and it's more understood these days, there's still a bit of a stigma around it. And so, women are still afraid to speak up about what they go through during postpartum, and intrusive thoughts, and the depression, and the sadness, and suicidal ideologies, and all of that. But I talked to my therapist enough that I got to a place where I was feeling a lot better. And I went back to work. I was working, a little less than part-time. And that helped, kind of having a balance of being at home and being at work. That helped. So anyways, my point is, when I tend to get to these low spots, I will figure out what I need to add to my routine, take out of my routine, change up about my routine so I can feel better. And so I am not continuing to affect my household with how I'm feeling. So for me, I will read self-help books. I will listen to healing and mindfulness uh, type, based podcast. I will start going to the gym. I will meditate, journal. I would, go for walks. I will just have an array of practices that I start to utilize on a daily basis to help me feel better, because I refuse to just stay stuck. I refuse to stay in that rock bottom state. And I do not think it's fair to rely on other people to carry the weight. I've talked about this in past episodes that yes, it feels amazing to have somebody in your corner that could kind of serve as a distraction when you're really stressed or, just feeling very down and not like yourself. Like, it's amazing to be, physically comforted, to have your spouse come home and just cuddle you or hold you, like Tiger and I, that's one of our things that we do to comfort the other one. Like, if he's at work and he's stressed, or I'm at home and I'm stressed, we usually will ask the other one, can you please hold me when you get home? Or I will hold you when I get home. Like that's our thing. That's how we regulate each other and help each other feel better. And it's beautiful. And my hope is that everybody has someone like that in their life, whether it's their pet, their spouse, but you cannot solely rely on another person to fix you, make you feel better. I kind of had this conversation with Tiger the other day. It's like putting a weight around someone's neck. When you are solely, or at least it may appear that way, that you're solely relying on them to take whatever's been bothering you away. I think that it is important, very important and vital for your mental health, emotional health, that you have to do the work. I know it's hard. I know it's painful. It's strenuous. It may be that you have to take a lot of time by yourself. You may have to be alone. That's one of the reasons why people don't even like healing, because it's a lot of time spent by yourself. You cannot rely on other people to heal you. We tend to rely on other people to be a distraction so we don't have to heal. But it's not going to go away. It's not. Whatever it is, trauma, childhood trauma, triggers, wounds, whatever, shadow work, all of it, it's not going to go away. You can distract yourself with money, other people, extracurricular activities, gaming, whatever, travel. But until you face head on whatever, the deep-seated stuff inside is, it's going to keep creeping back up. The body keeps score. The body remembers. And then there is such a thing as generational trauma that passes down from generation to generation. I absolutely believe that it does. We can talk about that later. But people tend to think that money will solve their problems, or being with somebody will solve their problems and take their pain away, take their hurt away. Nope. It may feel that way for a while. They may be a distraction for a while. The money may make you feel good for a while. But that pain and that stuff that needs to be addressed and worked through, processed, healed through. I feel like I may have touched on this last episode, but it's so important, and I will repeat it as many times as is needed because it's so important and it's a big lesson that I've learned this past year. It's not going to go away. It's still going to continue to sit over here like this little dark rain cloud or something. That's like, I'm still here. You're eventually, all the distractions are going to go away and you're going to be left with me, and you're going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to deal with this rain cloud. You're going to have to deal with this past stuff that has always been there, whether it's the back of your mind, deep, deep, deep inside your body. It's going to continue to reemerge and force you to deal with it. So, and you can't put that on other people. You know, you have to do the work. I know it's painful, but you have to do the work. And so I kind of had this conversation with Tiger a couple days ago because I love my husband and I will be there for him no matter what. No matter what, I will hold him as much as he needs me to. I will listen to him vent about the same things for the rest of our lives if it makes him feel better. But if he isn't, or if anybody else on the planet isn't meeting themselves halfway, all these things that they're stressed or agonized or deeply bothered or hurting about, it's just going to continue to creep up year after year after year if you're not truly addressing, why you feel the way that you do. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional. I'm never going to claim to be. I'm just speaking from experience and what I've learned in particular this past year and over the years of my life is that you can't use people to fix what's broken in you. You can't use things to fix what's broken in you. And you can't rely on other people to fix what's broken in you. And so for me personally, when I am struggling and I just don't see myself getting better, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I can't stay stuck in that. I can't. Even though sometimes it's healthy. Sometimes it's healthy to just stay stuck. Sometimes when you're in that stuck space, clarity will come. I can't remember. What was I watching the other day? I can't remember. It was something about if you stay stuck in it long enough, the answer will come to you. I can't remember what I was watching the other day, though, that I heard that. Because I've been watching so many different things on TV. But I heard it the other day. Shit. Yeah, I can't remember what I was watching the other day. Maybe I'll remember it later, but it's so true. So sometimes you need to be stuck. Sometimes you need to be stuck at a certain place for clarity to come. But I think the goal is not staying stagnant, not staying stuck forever, not remaining and making rock bottom your home. But sometimes you do just have to sit in it and feel your feels. But like I said, for me personally, when I've identified that I am struggling, there's something wrong with me, I'm not doing okay, it's affecting my household, my kids are noticing I'm struggling, my husband is noticing I'm struggling, I come to the realization that I need to do something different. So I will seek out therapy. I will join a gym. I've been part of a gym for the past couple years, and it's done wonders for my mental health. I'm just stating what works for me. Everybody has their thing. Everybody has what works for them. If hiking works for you, do that. If being out in nature works for you, do that. Not that video games aren't a bad thing, are a bad thing. They're not. But I've learned for me personally that it is a distraction. It's not I don't feel like, I mean, I don't know. I'm only speaking for me and my husband. Other people, maybe they've been able to heal through playing video games. But for me personally, I've started to feel like it's more of a distraction. It doesn't help me deal with the problem. It doesn't help me deal with what's actually wrong. It just keeps me from having to think about it for a while. Just like substances like alcohol or smoking, they're all distractions. They are not healthy ways to cope, healthy ways to heal. But it is something that I've utilized. It's something that people tend to utilize, but it's not a healthy uh it's not a healthy mechanism to heal. It's not. And so I feel like video games, they're not bad, they're fun. They could be a bit of a stress reliever, but they are also a distraction. Therapy isn't a distraction. Therapy is unpacking, processing, and a good, healthy healing practice. And that's what I'm trying to say is the difference between distractions and healthy healing practices. Um, because, like I said, you have some point you have to meet yourself halfway. And so, healthy healing practices, what I believe and what I feel has helped for me, has worked for me. Therapy, journaling, meditation, which I actually need to utilize more, but I do think that it's a healthy mechanism for healing. Um, Purposeful mindfulness, healthy podcast. I feel like have been helpful for me. Books, self-care books, books on healing, books on trauma, healing the father wound, mother wound, that kind of thing. Um, Getting some vitamin D, going outside, taking a walk, being out in the sun a couple hours a day, gardening, walking, going hiking, walking your dog, all healthy forms of healing, I feel like. Um, re- Reading, we touched on that. So those are just a few things that I do. Dancing, I love to dance. Dancing is an outlet for me as well. Going to the gym, like I said. Um, and so I always have a roundabout way of explaining things. But really, what a point I was trying to make, because I personally started to feel like my husband was putting a lot of responsibility on me, and I'm sure I've possibly have done this to him in the past. I'm almost sure of it. Because we have a simultaneous way about the two of us where we could both be struggling about something, but we never struggle at the same time. If I'm struggling, he will put aside whatever he's dealing with to focus on me and help me feel better. And then vice versa. We've just always naturally have been that way. We've never both been down at the dumps at the same exact time. Even if he's feeling some kind of way and he's struggling, he kind of pulls that back so he can make me the focus. And then I do the same for him. And it could be something that we're both highly upset about. It could be something with our child. It could be a health issue with our child. And we're both upset, both worried, but whoever is handling it worse, the other one will keep it together so they can pick up the other one. That's just how we've always been. But I had to have a conversation with him because I've been asking him to go to therapy for years. I'm not going to go into why it's been difficult, very difficult for him. I think in general it's much more difficult for men because they have been raised to not show emotion, be tough. Men don't cry. Men don't talk about what's wrong, blah, blah, blah. That whole, horrible part of our culture of how we think that men should be like robots and that they shouldn't feel or they shouldn't cry or and it's ridiculous because at the end of the day, men are human too. And I think this is why the suicide rate for men will always be higher and has always been higher, is because we tell little boys that they're not allowed to feel. And it's awful. It's awful. I think that the world is starting to do things differently, and there are so many different types of organizations and stuff that are prioritizing men's mental health, and I think that's wonderful. But we are still, uh, right in the thick of a generation of men who were raised to believe that they weren't allowed to feel, and they weren't allowed to cry, and they weren't allowed to show emotion, they weren't allowed to be vulnerable. And unfortunately, my husband was a part of that, upbringing. And so, if they're not internalizing it, they're not feeling it, you can't heal what you don't reveal, and it's just this vicious cycle thing. And it's really sad to see that men have been raised and taught to not be human, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with feeling and expressing your emotions and crying. You can't keep all that in. You can't keep all that in. And it breaks my heart that men have been taught to do that. But that can be a discussion for another day. But I have felt like I've been put in an uncomfortable, unfair position, because here I am. When I identify there's something wrong with me, I do what I need to feel better, so I'm no longer affecting the other people in my household. Like I said, go to therapy, get on medication if needed, all the things. Whereas my husband, for example, not wanting to, share too much about his personal life, he will just continue to internalize. But the things bothering him continue to just bubble to the surface over and over and over and over and over and over again, year after year after year. And, and things that he used to love, he has a hard time getting back into them. And so I'm like, again, you can vent to me all forever. I will hold you forever, but I need you to meet yourself halfway. I need you to, go to therapy so you can identify, why you feel this way or why you do this. Process and unpack your wounds and your trauma. I can only do so much. I'm not a professional. And so I just kind of had to tell him, I kind of feel like there's been a weight put around my neck to fix you, and that is beyond my capability. And so my point to all of this, and I didn't even expect to still be sitting here talking, was do not make it other people's responsibility to fix you. It's not fair. It puts a lot on the other person. I know healing is painful. Healing is hard. Facing your shadows is extremely hard, but you got to, or you're just going to keep being faced with the same pain, same triggers, same traumas, and still be hurting and upset and bothered by the same thing. Like, life has a way of making you confront things over and over and over and over again until you learn the lesson, until you work through whatever it is. Life just has a way of testing you and making you go through the same test over and over and over again until you do something differently. Change is hard. Change is scary, but it's necessary. Just like healing is necessary. It's painful, it's hard, it sucks, but it's necessary, and I think it's especially even harder for men to confront that and heal. But yeah, like, we have to meet ourselves halfway. We have to do the work, we can't constantly rely on other people to make us feel better. So, I want everybody, and I hope that everybody has someone in their corner that cheers them up and, hugs them and loves them back to themselves a little bit. And that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Tiger has been that for me so many times in our life. And I hope that I've been that way for him. Just, it's a beautiful thing to be able to love somebody back to themselves. But there comes a point where not even that's enough. And at least for me, I realized I can't rely on other people to make me feel better. I have to make me feel better. And that's the point of all this. It's beautiful to have people in your corner, but at the end of the day, you have to make yourself feel better, you know? So I'm going to end it here. Hopefully here soon we'll be able to have a guest on the show so you're not just listening to me talk all the time. But I hope that this was resonating. I hope you guys understood where I was coming from, because I have such a weird, roundabout, long, drawn out way of explaining things. It's just me. I don't know how to do it any other way. But yeah, if this episode resonated, you related to it, like, subscribe. I didn't do a video this week, just wasn't feeling it. But like, subscribe on my YouTube channel, Spotify, iHeart. Send me a message. Yeah, I'm here. So, yeah. So thanks for listening, and I hope that you have a wonderful week, beautiful day, and everybody, just be kind. Just be kind. Just be fucking kind. We don't know what anybody else is going through. We don't know who's grieving. We don't know who's hurting. We don't know who's just experienced loss. We don't know who had the hardest time getting out of bed today. We don't know who is feeling like they just don't want to exist anymore. We don't know. We truly don't know. So just be kind to everybody. Just be kind. It's not hard. It's literally the easiest thing to be. And everybody can do it. Everybody. So just be kind. All right. I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Play with Your Dick, not me.